When you are planning your Disney trip and you have already dropped a boatload of money for tickets and hotel and travel, but you also have to travel when everybody else is there and you're afraid that you're going to get to the parks, it's going to be packed. Yes, it's going to be packed. What are you going to do if you can't afford to do any skip the line service and you're afraid that you don't want to wait in 2-3 hour long lines? Well, I have some plan B alternatives for you, and today we're talking about Hollywood Studios. Hi friends, I'm Laura Krumzak. This is the Disney Slowdown. I help families, new families to Disney, make a realistic plan for their Disney vacation. There's a lot of information out there about all the must do's. Oh, wow, we're going to get stormed on. All the must do's at Disney. And I'm here to tell you, if this is your first trip to Disney or you haven't been in a while, most of those tips and tricks are garbage. You're not even going to scratch the surface of Disney. So relax and let's have some fun, okay? So for Hollywood Studios, the good thing about Hollywood Studios is there are so many banger attractions between popular rides, thrilling roller coasters, and amazing shows that even when it's busy, your lines are still going to kind of level out. But there are some hidden gems that I love to do every time that I visit Hollywood Studios, and I don't think you're going to want to miss those. All right, so the top tier attractions, obviously Rise of the Resistance and Rock and Roll and Roller Coaster, which will be here through 2025. And at some point in 2026, they're shutting it down and they're going to retheme it to the Muppets, which I think totally makes sense because honestly, the ride already feels like Muppets are driving it. Not Steve Tyler, just saying. Tower of Terror is one of the big rides again. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And then, of course, Slinky Dog Dash. Then I would say maybe your second most popular is going to be Toy Story Mania, Smuggler's Run. Um, that might be it as far as attractions. Like you've got a lot of top tier attractions that people are trying to go to, which is great. Hello, Cristiano. Hope I said that right. And Brad. Hello. Carlos. Hello. Thanks for joining me. So the good news is like if you try to rope drop Hollywood Studios, which I've said before, if you know anything about me and my family, rope dropping is not even an option, like not even on the table. But if you are that family that likes to get up early and go and rope drop, you've got everybody going to different attractions. So you could choose one that maybe is popular but not quite as popular. Rise of the Resistance, Slinky Dog Dash. I think those are going to be the two most popular ones. I think if people run to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it's because it's right in the middle of the path. You literally, scan in and walk straight and there it is, as opposed to going to, well, in Rock and Roll and Roller Coaster. So going to the right where Tower of Terror and Rock and Roll and Roller Coaster is, or going to the left where you're going to find Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, so Slinky Dog Dash and Rise. You're already going to really get a good disbursement for rope drop. But what happens if that's just not a possibility for you and your family? As I said, happy birthday. Okay, wait a minute. Happy birthday, Dixon. Hi, Auntie. Why don't you? I'm sorry, Laughing Box 3. I didn't see you. Hello? Hi. Somebody gaming. Alyan, I can't read. I'm sorry. I've got a glare on my screen. Hello? Sorry. But Tristan, yes. Happy birthday to your cousin Dixon. All right. Back to the story, man. If you get to the parks 10, 11 o'clock, there's going to be a lot of people there. So what are you going to do? Well, the good news is Hollywood Studios also has a ton of great shows. Every time that I go now, and for the first year, maybe more than a year, we did not do the Frozen sing along. My kids are a little older, and my younger two, I mean, they're still, preteen, teenagers, and they were like, I don't want, I'm over Frozen. I don't want to do Frozen. So it was hot one day. I think I was there by myself. And I'm like, I just want to sit down and cool off. Let's go check out this Frozen show. It is the funniest show I have ever seen. I have, I don't miss it. Every time I go to Hollywood Studios, it is on my top list to do. And there are times when I've watched it twice. There was one day I went in there twice. Sorry, I got bugs all over me. Gosh dang. Um yeah, it was really hot and I watched it once. It was hysterical and I'm like, "You know what? I'm going to go sit down and watch Frozen again." It is that good. It really is. I don't care if you're over Frozen or if kids aren't just like, "Oh my gosh, Anna and Elsa." It is the funniest show you will ever see. I promise you, make it one of your top 3 priorities, and it's going to be really easy to get into. It's great if you've got a thunderstorm because it's indoors, it's air conditioned, it's a great place to sit down and cool off. It's hysterical. Hey, new subscriber. Thank you. Please say hi. Okay, is it Cristiano? Cristiano and George. Um, Seriously, Frozen sing along, top, absolutely top. The villain show. Now we've got 2 new shows. I did get a chance to see the villain show. We're gonna get drenched. That's what's gonna happen right here, right now. I did get a chance to see the villain show, and it's cute. It's very entertaining. I had a good time. I think it was like a 20-minute show. They've got the line set up really well, where it's kind of like a baseball situation. You've got the people that are in the theater, and then they're counting the next group to go in. They've got them counted. They're getting them ready to load. And then when that area fills up or almost fills up, leaving room for like VIP tours and stuff, but then they'll start another area on the backside, and then when the first group comes out, they'll load the other group in and move this group around. They've got a really good system, and that was definitely 20 minutes was worth the wait, I would say. I mean, it was a 20-minute show. I've seen things say like 75-minute wait, which I could understand if you're like in that third group. So their 20-minute show just started. Then this group's going to have a 20-minute show, and then it'll be your turn. So I could kind of see where 75 minutes would be one of the times there if you were in the third or fourth group. But it's worth it. I really think it's worth checking out. And, we haven't had a new show in a while, right? And then, of course, they've redone the Little Mermaid show. And that one is your classic Little Mermaid. So I did not get a chance to see that one. I've seen some things online. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that right now. But when I go back, I'll probably catch it, especially since it's going to be like July when I go back. And, it's freaking hot here. So you definitely want to find places indoors, and Hollywood Studios is going to have that for you. I think there's going to be plenty for you to do, and you are not going to feel like you've missed out, or that. Seriously, I'm gonna get drenched. I don't think in Hollywood Studios you're going to feel disappointed by your day, even if you don't get to ride a single ride. Now, if your kids are older or they're big enough to ride by themselves, Rise of the Resistance does have a single rider line, and I think that's delightful. Smuggler's Run also has a single rider line. However, that's the last time I took that ride, because when you're in the single rider line, they're filling up the cars. So the first 2 people they put in the car are going to be the pilots. The next 2 are going to be the gunners. And then the last two, which is what your single riders are going to do, they're going to be the engineers, which I think is great because you don't have to do a whole lot in the engineer. You really just like push a button every once in a while. However, you have no control over who is the pilot. And the last time I rode it, and I swore I would never ride a Smuggler's Run again, we had a 4-year-old as the pilot. Like, who does that? Who sends a 4-year-old to drive the Millennium Falcon? And yeah, they're controlling it. Let me tell you, that one's bad. Star Tours doesn't usually have a long line, although that's the one ride that I'll look at to see kind of how the crowds are, because if Star Tours has more than like a 20-minute wait, the park is packed that day. Star Tours is like the Hollywood Studios version of Hurlatorl. I can't do Star Tours. We did a video. I wanted to see how many different scenes we could get, and I think I could only ride Star Tours twice. And my daughter rode it 3 times, and there's supposed to be all these different combinations of scenes that you can get, and we kept getting the same ones. So I probably won't try that challenge again because, well, let me tell you, if you want to turn green, great place for you. Of course, you have Phantasmic, and if it's really busy and the parks are going to be open a little later, they'll have 2 showings of Phantasmic. So a great strategy is to skip the first showing of Phantasmic and get in line for some of those big banger attractions, because there's a lot of people that are going to go to the first Phantasmic and then go home, especially if they have younger kids, but they've been there all day. And I guess alternatively, you could go to the first one, although the first one's usually busier. I don't think that would be a good strategy, is to go to the first one and then ride rides after. I've never tried that, but I know the first Phantasmic is always busier. So I don't know. That it's one of the things you could do, because Phantasmic's like a 20-30 minute show. And if they have 2 showings, the last one is usually starting right at park close, like 9 o'clock. No, when they have 2 showings, it's usually like 10:30, 11. I think might be 11 o'clock. So you just kind of have to look for park hours, which is another good strategy. Like if you can get Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios on one of those nights when they stay open late. Now, Magic, we'll talk about that later, but Magic Kingdom, rarely do they have 2 showings, although they are adding that nighttime parade. So they might be keeping the park open later more often to have that nighttime parade and the fireworks. So, but that's maybe next week we'll talk about Magic Kingdom. I love Toy Story Mania. That is a fun one. And at least the line is mostly indoors. So if it's really hot outside or if it's bad weather, that's a good one to duck into. The Slinky Dog Dash, that's one that I would ride during a Phantasmic showing or try to rope drop it, because there is no shade for that line. It's all outdoors. You're going to get beat down. If you're trying to do Slinky Dog in the middle of the day, especially in the Florida heat in the summer, I am getting rained on. Yeah, I don't recommend doing that at all. I think that's a bad idea. All right, now here's one that I want to tell you about before I get totally drenched. A really great place, I think, inside Hollywood Studios that gets overlooked is called Walt Disney Presents. If you want to teach your kids a little bit more about Disney history, and I'm talking about Walt Disney and how he got started, Walt Disney Presents is a fabulous little area. It's not ever really packed at all. I mean, it's indoors, it's kind of tucked away. You don't really know what it is, but you're going to have the history of Walt and how he got started and the building of the parks. And if you're like me and you grew up on Walt Disney, what did we have? We had the Wild World of Disney, which basically became National Geographic. I used to watch that on TV, and we had Walt Disney Presents, which was like Sunday night, and it was like the family movie that we all would sit down and watch together. So you're just gonna see history unfold, and it's going to, I don't know, maybe get some of that Walt Disney history into your kids, not necessarily what they know and what they've grown up with, but like how it got started. So that's, I'm gonna move, and maybe I'll try it over here. Whoop, that's my yard. Okay, I'm trying to get under the awning. Sorry, I know this is crazy. All right, there we go. I'm not getting as rained on. If the parks are busy, definitely catch a show and duck into Walt Disney Presents. Do yourself a favor. That is one of my favorite places to go in there. Now, of course, you've also got Indiana Jones and the Stunt Spectacular. That's a fun show too. They just show you how different stunts are done, and they've got acrobatics, that are doing the different stunts. That's fun to watch as well. It is outdoors in like an amphitheater. It's covered, but you're still outdoors, so it's still hot. And again, with the set being outdoors, it may not, if there's like bad weather, like rain, they would probably cancel it. Just, like they would Fantasmic as well. So I think I'm trying to keep track of I'm trying to keep track of all my stuff. I think I hit everything. So I would say my top 3 plan B would be Frozen Sing Along, Rise of the Resistance single rider line, and Walt Disney Presents. I know those seem really crazy for the big park that is Hollywood Studios, but I feel like my day would be complete. I will come back later on this week and I will talk about some of my favorite eats in Hollywood Studios. And I gotta tell you, there's not a lot that I'm super excited about, but I do have a few favorites. So thanks for joining me. If you are not a subscriber, would you please subscribe, like this video, send it to a friend. I love your comments. Thank you so much for interacting with me and just helping my channel grow. All right. We'll see you later on this week where we talk about Hollywood Studios food. Thanks for joining me. Bye.